All right, welcome to the Get Busy Living podcast. We've got the wonderful Kristine Best on today. So thank you very much, Kristine, for coming on and giving us your gold nuggets of information, especially about what you do. But yeah, thanks again and much appreciated for your time.
I really appreciate you having me on your wonderful show. Thank you, Dr. Scott Fox. I love being here. This is my second time, right?
Yeah, second time. Yeah. We had a false start, but now we're up and running and we're coming around the bend.
We're rocking now.
So yeah. So tell us, Kristine. So I'll start with my usual first question. What gets you out of bed every day, please, Kristine?
Wow, what gets me out of bed? So over the last few years, I realised that I could do the wellness stuff that I used to do back in from 1980 to the year 2000. So I had my business in Sydney for 20 years, and life happened back then, and I had to close the doors on that business. I was the business, couldn't really sell it, and that was in the year 2000. So then in 2023, what happened was I got myself a coach who took me through my dreams, goals, and values. And I realized at that point that I could resurrect that business and pursue the goals that I thought would never see the light of day. That inspired me, and that is what inspires me every day, because I have this vision of global transformation through wellness in totality. And that is what motivates me, that excites me. That's why I get out of bed. That's why I spend a lot of hours putting things together and really developing all my models and programs. Yeah, that's what gets me out of bed.
So so I know that you're a health coach and you're also a musician, and
Yes.
you're right into percussion as well. But I'll just go back to what you mentioned before. So tell us about that transition. How did it make you feel at the time? Because it's really hard to transition. People, we're not programmed to change, well, like change anyway.
Well,
And it brings up a lot of emotion, I found, with change.
Well, change has its difficulties because you've got to do quite a lot of learning. What happened at the time, in 2017, I started out on a music journey. I thought I would like to be a songwriter, and I had a part-time job, and I still had my son at home at the time, and I was attending some music, a ukulele club actually, and from there I decided I would branch out on my own to be a songwriter. But in the process, that inspired me to want to be a performer as well, and so it just expanded. The whole music thing just expanded, and I wrote songs and recorded a CD myself, and it went from there. And so that was something I'd wanted to do all my life, was music, and it seemed the right time to be doing it then. And when I quite by accident found this coach on LinkedIn who took me through my dreams, goals, and values, that is when I realized that I could actually do the music thing and the wellness thing together. And so it wasn't really a hard transition, in that it resonated with who I am. It resonated with the vision I had. It excited me because I could do the thing I wanted to do all my life, which was music, and the thing I had been doing pretty much all my life, which was wellness. It was a no-brainer. What was I going to do? It just was like, it just had the right flow. I'm on my path. This is it. I recognized that that this is what I have been waiting for all my life, this thing that I felt like I had to do. I felt like I had some kind of important thing to do in my life. And I don't know, I never recognized in my whole life what it might be. But this moment is when it clicked. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's like the lights all switched on. This is my time. This is my path. And this is a good thing to do, and people need it. So, the transition just happened.
And did it inspire, because you did it inspire you to do more music into your business and amalgamate that?
Before COVID, I was out and about playing music with lots of people 5 and 6 times a week. And during COVID, that all stopped. And then even when COVID was sort of like the restrictions were over, music took a very long time to start coming back. But lately I've been doing some practices, and I've done a couple of concerts with jazz, blues and rock musicians. And I regularly practice with a group of others that play pretty much sort of popular or pop rock, So I get the best of all those worlds because I love a variety of music. And I particularly like playing jazz and Latin rhythms and things like that, because that's where I play my percussion. And I don't know, I really dig that.
And did it also help you to expand into other, genres of music, and also the health field as well?
Yeah, well, like I said, I like to play a whole lot of different styles of music, and I've written songs in 12 different genres, so I don't just stick to one. And the opportunities have presented themselves so that I could expand my music skills, my knowledge and playing. The people on the coast here have been very supportive and included me, and I guess mentored me as well. So I started when I started writing songs, I wanted to write songs that were meaningful. And I didn't like, even if you write a song about a bad thing, it's got to have, my songs have to have a line that is positive, that is going to be a good takeaway for people, and they can identify with that bad situation, but here's a little light at the end of the tunnel that they can take away and empower themselves, use it to move forward from that situation. So I wanted my songs to inspire people. Like I write songs about achieving your goals and, taking care of yourself, realizing that there's more to life quite often than where you're at, that your heart says you should be doing this, and your brain's saying, no, I've got to get this job because that's the kind of job I'm supposed to have. My parents want me to have that, or this is the community around me is telling me I've got to have this. But your heart is saying to do something else. And I want to inspire people to fulfill their dreams and goals, just like I'm doing now.
And I know that in the mental health field, and also the mentally retarded and people that with mental brain injury and stuff like that, and they and also people with Alzheimer's and dementia, that they actually use music to stimulate the neurons, well, basically their brain. And you can actually see some of the people, their face actually lights up and they get it. They you might play an old song, for instance, for someone with dementia that's 80, 89 years of age, and you play some old time song, and you can see their face just light up. I remember watching a documentary about it, so it's quite intriguing because we relate to music in so many different ways, and I think we've talked about it before. Where I've seen someone play some classical music and made people cry. So it evokes emotion.
Absolutely.
So
it touches your soul. It touches your soul.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, so I can listen to somebody singing and they actually have a beautiful way of expressing themselves, and they have a beautiful voice as well. And it is so nice that it brings tears to my eyes and maybe makes the hairs on my arms stand up. It's just exquisite. And, I've seen things about like videos and articles about people who've had Alzheimer's who find it very hard to even string a couple of words together, yet you play the song or the songs from their era and they know all the words and start singing and they're smiling and they're present. Whereas before that, they were distant, kind of locked up in this disease that they have. And you know what? My wellness sort of comes into play here as well, because there are things you can do to give your body the best chance to prevent chronic diseases. And they're chronic diseases and the mental ones as well. Because if you don't have essential nutrients in your diet or you're just trashing your body, you're drinking and you're not sleeping well, all those things compound and you develop these diseases. So I want to build an awareness in everybody that they don't have to go down that path. And age, this is another thing, is a stereotype that when you age, you get these diseases. Wrong.
Yeah,
because these diseases are symptomatic of the lifestyle that you've lived and the choices you've made every day during your life. And so and you're the same, you want to stop people from suffering these kinds of things, and we want to educate people. We want to prevent them going down that path. We want to get to them early before they develop these diseases. But the thing is, it doesn't matter what age you are right now, you can actually do something about it today, because your body is built to heal itself. And if you give it the right circumstances today and tomorrow and the next day, your body will continue to heal itself. But if you continue on the same path, then you're going to go downhill. And this is where a lot of people say, my parents had it, my grandparents had it. Yes, but hang on a second. If we look at the lifestyle factors, you're eating junk food. You smoke. You do this, you don't do enough exercise. Well, if you follow the same patterns, you're going to end up with the same sorts of conditions. So even if you have a predisposition to get heart disease, that predisposition is like the gun. But to pull the trigger, you have to have all the lifestyle factors there. And if you look after those lifestyle factors and treat your body the right way, you don't pull the trigger. You don't get the disease. You may have the disposition. So that's all the more impetus for you to start making the right decisions and speaking to the right people who are going to help you make those right decisions. So if you don't take those steps, you're just going to stay in the same rut, the same habits, the same behaviors, and you're going to end up like your parents and your grandparents. So it's all about choices. And okay, that might not be the case in 100% of cases, but it's going to happen in the majority of the cases, that you can change your circumstances. And that's where I see myself as inspiring people and helping them with strategies and tools and the knowledge to be able to do that, to make those changes.
Yeah, I've to back that up, I've got a dear friend. He got diagnosed with aortic stenosis, so the right hand side of his heart was enlarged, like double its size. And they said it's calcification in the valves, and all of them, but the aortic valve was pretty bad. And they said to him, you're pretty much going to have to get surgery in the next 12 months. And he said to him, no, not doing it. So what he did was he used to be a bodybuilder when he was young. So he knew exactly what to do. He just didn't apply it. Same old story. And 12 months later, the doctor's like, what have you done? All he did was just change his diet, started exercising again, and cut out all the vices. Like smoking and drinking, and just eating garbage. And he lost a heap of weight. It was over 20 odd kilos, and he kept it off. More importantly, he kept it off.
Yeah. So he did it gradually, obviously.
Yeah. So and that's why I said to him, I commended him, because I said most people wouldn't do that. Majority of the population would never ever do that.
They'd stay stuck in their bad habits.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I said to him, that's an inspirational story, because not many people do that. Most people that I've come across that are in your position, it doesn't happen. It doesn't end that way.
No.
They end up getting usually earlier, because they think to themselves, well, why should I bother? I'm going to get the surgery anyway, so I might as well just do it even worse. That's the way people think.
Right. Yeah.
As I said, that's the majority, not all, but not all.
Yeah.
And he was one of them. But as I said, there's not many people that would do that.
No, because it takes a lot of effort to make the changes necessary. Because you've got to change your habits, you've got to change the way you eat the food and the choices of what food you buy, what you put in your fridge, what you put on the table. It requires a lot of willpower.
Discipline.
Discipline,
exactly
willpower.
Same thing. Yeah. And and his surgeon said the same thing. He said, well, not many people would do this. So.
No. And then you get a few people who think they're going to do it, and they kind of go overboard, and they cut everything out, and they find they lose, and they do it too quickly. They lose the weight quickly, and then they pile it all back on again, because they haven't actually addressed the habits and behaviors properly. So they end up putting on more weight. And some people try and starve themselves. And what that does is it actually slows your metabolism down even worse, and you put on even more weight. So people don't realize that dieting and all these extreme sort of regimes, they don't work. They might work initially, but they don't work long term. The long-term benefits are from the gradual changes you make and implement in your life, so that they become part of your everyday lifestyle.
And exactly. And that's the hardest part.
It is the hardest part.
To continue to do it, because 90%, was it 98% of all people who lose weight
put it back on again.
12 months. Yeah, in the first 12 months, put it back on.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
yeah, that's because they're probably trying to do it all cold turkey, you know. They're just giving up everything, and it's like a Spartan regime, and
Yep.
you can't maintain it. So it has to be a bearable change. Like it has, and that's why gradual. So if you just pick one thing like if you eat a packet of chips every day or something, well, you just got to say, all right, I'm going to cut the chips out. I will have one packet in the week. I will allow myself one packet in the week. That's my thing I like to have. Or ice cream. I will buy one ice cream in the week. I won't have it every day. And cans of soft drink, you know, some people drink 2-3 cans of soft drink a day or more. And so obviously that's huge amount of sugar, which is really bad, not just for their weight gain, but also for their triglycerides and blood sugar and heart. That affects the heart, affects so many things. And so if they cut out most of those cans of drink and just allowed themselves, say, 2 cans in the week, they could probably manage that. But if they try to cut it out altogether, they're not going to last. You know, it's like you can allow yourself these little treats, a bit of chocolate every now and then, not every day, that kind of stuff. And that keeps your brain happy. It says, oh, good, I've had my treat. I feel good now. I reckon I could make it another 3 days for another treat, you know.
Yeah.
And instead of just, oh, I can't stand it another day. I can't stand it another day. And so they go out and buy half a dozen of those things and gorge on it, you know. Because they're not doing it the right way. They're setting themselves up for failure.
Yeah. That's so that. See, the reason why people don't eat the high sugary foods, the chocolates and blah blah blah, while they're trying to lose weight, because they know that it's going to slow their metabolism down, and they're not going to lose much weight. So instead of losing like 2-3 kilos in the first week, you see what I'm saying? They know that the chocolate's going to slow your metabolism down, so you're only going to lose like half a kilo. But that's not a bad thing. If you do that over 52 weeks,
that's right. The longer term, you got to look at the longer term.
Yeah. If you lose that 50, and the other thing is with the soft drinks is that they're a neurological agent. I actually did an assignment on this in chemistry.
Did you?
Back in on it's it damages the neurons. It actually reduces the nutrition getting to the neuron itself. So
there you go. So peripheral nerve damage.
Yeah, I believe it's the leading cause of MND. If people are drinking a lot of soft drinks, and they wonder why they get MND, is when you start to read the research about the neurological system and how soft drink affects it, we're like, okay, it makes sense now.
I'm sure there are other factors that have a similar effect on the neurological system. So it might not be just one thing. There might be a couple of factors working together.
Yeah. There's always, but I mean, if you're drinking 10 liters, if you're like drinking a liter of soft drink a day and you get diagnosed with MND.
Yeah, well, you got to wonder, don't you? I mean,
I wonder why I got lung cancer. I smoke every day. I can't figure it out.
Well, that's right. Yeah, there's got to be a link between them.
It's just that doctors don't talk about it.
I don't think there's enough being done to help people. See, the reason why they smoke and why they overindulge in certain, foods and drinks and whatever, and like alcohol and stuff, there's an underlying reason. And nobody's treating the root cause. And
that's right.
What I focus on is treating the root cause. So when you find that out, you can also treat the symptoms, but you're getting rid of the root cause, which means the body can heal itself. Whereas if you just treat the symptoms, it's a Band-Aid and the pus is still in there and the pus can't get out. So you've got to get rid of the pus.
Analogy. Great analogy. But the other thing is, have you ever tried to drink 17 teaspoons of sugar in a
Oh,
glass of
no.
water?
No, I wouldn't want to. It's
People don't think
gross.
of this. They
No.
don't think of that. But what
No.
happens is they actually put a chemical in the soft drink to stop you from throwing up.
Oh, really? They do? Oh,
Well,
that's why I
think
don't
about it.
drink.
If you got your glass of water and filled it with
No,
17 teaspoons of sugar,
you'd feel
and then you
very
drink
off
it, you'd be
colour.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what happens. You get nauseous.
yeah,
It's
you
too
would.
sweet. It's too
Yeah.
sweet. So what do? They put a chemical in it to stop you from throwing up.
Ah, yeah, well, that's pretty nasty.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
But even yeah, but even the drinks that are supposedly sugarless, they have aspartame in it, and aspartame's
Yeah.
really a poison as well.
Yeah.
I actually heard of a case of a woman. She had a number of soft drinks throughout the day and was drinking these aspartame-filled drinks, and she ended up in hospital really quite unwell because it was poisoning her body.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you put all these chemicals in, you're going to have a reaction, aren't you? I mean, if you put the wrong fuel in your car, what happens to your car? It's exactly the same
you
analogy.
don't put water in your engine, do you? You don't put water in your
No,
in
and
fuel
you
tank.
don't put the wrong oil in your sump.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to put hydrogen hydraulic
hydrochloric acid or something like that in there.
Hydraulic oil. You don't want to put hydraulic oil in your engine.
No. Yeah, right. You don't want to put the wrong oil. You got to use the right ingredients for your car to work well, and you've got to put the right ingredients in your body if you expect it to work well. Simple as that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I knew these bodybuilders, right? When I had my business in Sydney, two guys, they used to come and I had a couple of people working for me and massaging, and these guys got regular massaged. And one day one of them rocked up, but the other one wasn't with him. I said, where's whatever his name? I can't remember his name now, but where's Joe today, And he said he's dead. And I went, what? And what had happened was, because he had such a horrible diet, they used to eat a lot of McDonald's and all of that greasy food.
Yeah.
He had a big workout, which, and I think he'd been taking steroids, which built his body up, but he'd pushed his body so hard. It's because the blood vessels don't respond at the same rate as the muscles. The muscles get bigger and stronger, but the blood vessels do not. And this guy had actually split his aorta. And by the time they got him on the table at the hospital, he was already dead. His chest cavity was filled with blood. But in there also was all this fat, this yellow fat ooze, because it was clogging up the artery. And I guess that was also increasing the pressure inside the blood vessel. So it was complicating the whole thing. So,
the other thing is that they talk about visceral fat. So the viscera is the connective tissue that surrounds the muscle. And if that gets if you get too much fat on that, then that's what happens. What you just said, it puts pressure on the heart, puts pressure on the arteries, it puts pressure on the lungs, and you have these episodes.
Yeah, so that guy died, and he was only in his late 20s. That guy, mid-20s probably. So people do some silly things to their body, and they think that putting artificial things in that shouldn't be in there, they think it's okay. But there's always going to be the bill becomes due, as the saying goes. So one day you'll find that these things catch up with you, and you're going to pay big time. And that's why choices every day are very important. If you don't want to have aches and pains and walking canes in your later years, then you need to make all these right choices early in the piece. I teach people about posture because a lot of people end up all hunched over as they get older, and that's just the way they've allowed their body to develop through poor posture and poor postural habits. And I teach people, how to avoid all that kind of stuff. So that's a different chronic problem, but it ends up with arthritis, increased blood pressure, and then that starts to affect the internal organs as well. And, the discs between the vertebrae can bulge and it can cause nerve pain. So all these things get worse and worse over time, whereas you can prevent all of those things happening.
Yeah, exactly right. And the the other thing is not also to drink good quality water as well. Because I found out that also anything carbonated, anything that they put carbon into the drink, so that I know people are going, what mineral water, really? Yeah, I'm sorry to say, soda water, mineral water, because they put carbon in it. It actually makes the drink very acidic. It puts your body into an acidic state. Yep. So, and to bring it back to neutral, even it takes a lot of water. So yeah, it was very hard for me to accept that one.
Yeah, well, there are different types of water. There are different types of water that, yes, and as you say, alkaline water is one thing that's better for you. Too much of an acid diet is not good for you. In fact, if you eat a diet that's high in vegetable content, that is an alkaline diet.
Yeah,
whereas if you eat a lot of fruit, that's more acidic. So having a balance of all those things is quite healthy, but having more vegetables is probably I don't know. I think it's healthier. My diet consists mainly vegetables. I eat a lot of vegetables.
No, I totally agree. But majority of people don't think that way, Kristine. They think that having your Maccas every day, once a day, or having your KFC once a day is okay. Well, no,
it's not.
Sorry to say.
No.
Sorry to say. No, your body just you just keep. It's like you got you've got this shovel and you just keep digging and digging and digging. Each day you keep doing it, it doesn't fill up. So you keep digging.
Well, because you're not getting the nutrition. You're not getting nutrition.
Right.
And people are hungry. They think I need food. I need food. But you don't need food per se. You need the nutrition. And just by taking vitamin tablets is not the answer either, because quite often you just end up peeing them out and passing them through your body without actually uptaking those supplements. So you're better off to get it from as much as you possibly can from the food you eat. But there are some things that you may need to supplement because they're hard to get in our diets today. So, you want to consult with people who know what they're doing, what they're talking about, who can help you make the right choices and guide you in the right direction. So that you don't have to spend huge amounts of money on supplements.
Medication.
That's pardon?
Or medication.
Or medication, exactly. If you spend your money on learning how to make the right choices, to implement the right strategies and habits in your life, that is money well spent. That's an investment. Right? That's an investment. Because once you get unwell, then you have a lot of expenses.
That's the other problem is living healthy is expensive. It's not cheap. You can't get good quality food, get good quality water.
But the thing is, most people overeat, and they possibly overeat because they're not getting nutrition. Their bodies are trying to get the nutrition. But if you eat nutritious food, you don't need to eat as much. And you'll find your body will work better, right?
Absolutely. Well, it's by design. They made our food addictive. They made it.
It is addictive. It is addictive. And I think it's very unethical to actually have food that way and allow companies to produce food that way. I think it's wrong.
I totally agree that's high up there for me as well.
I've got a rule. If God made the food, it's got to be pretty good because he made it just right. Now, if man's tampered with that food, beware. The more man has tampered with that food, the more he's processed it, beware. So my diet consists of fresh meat, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, nuts, seeds, grains, mainly. And eating that way is, our food today is deficient compared to the nutritional content that was in our food back in the 1800s or early 1900s even. So the more industrialized, the more mechanized, the more, technologically savvy man has tampered with food more and more and more. And it's got further and further away from this natural stuff that we used to put in our bodies. And what's happening is the incidence of chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, cancer, arthritis, all these kinds of diseases, gut problems, you name it, they're all chronic diseases. They're non-contagious diseases. They're ones that are developed because of habits and behaviours and our diets. And those factors are causing an increase every year. Those statistics are getting worse. Now, let me quote them. 70% of all deaths around the world, globally, so it's not just Australia, it's not just America or England, it's right around the world. 70% of all deaths worldwide are caused by chronic diseases like diabetes, cancer, and so on, like I've just mentioned. And those statistics are climbing at an alarming rate. Now, what that means, okay, people are going to go, yeah, so what? But I'll tell you what, if you know 25 people, right, and most people know 25 people, well, it means that 17 or 18 of those people are highly likely to develop a chronic disease and die from it. That means a little bit more. That puts it into a better perspective. So out of 25 people, 17 or 18 of them are probably going to get this disease, one of these horrible diseases, and die from it. So we need to do something to stop that happening, because that is a strain on society. It's a strain on the family. It affects the productivity of the family and the community. It clogs up our health system unnecessarily. If we can prevent all this, we can actually have a much better society. We can have people being happier. We can have people not requiring hospitalization, and their whole families are struggling mentally and emotionally. I mean, if everybody was more well and everybody was happier and everybody was, working in jobs that they enjoyed, what a better world we'd have. And, our systems would work better because we wouldn't be clogging it up with people that shouldn't be there. We should be educating people how to avoid these things. I don't know. It just breaks my heart, and to see people that are struggling like that, because they mostly don't need to be that way. They don't need to suffer.
Totally agree.
The information's not out there to proactively. I mean, the government says, we support proactive health, systems and processes and services, but they're not happening. Our government and our hospitals are really reactive. Our whole health system is reactive. Right? Not actually stopping people getting sick. People are getting sick and then going and getting this help. whereas we should be spending more time on, really good measures, good programs that prevent all these diseases.
Well, I'll use the. They took a photo in 1974 down the main beach of Surfers Paradise, and you can see the old symbol is still there, and there was this toilet that's still there, and but it's looked old, Anyway, then they took a photo in 2024 down exactly the same area, and you can still see that statue, and you can still see the toilets. Obviously, they've done the toilets up, and looks a lot bigger, and looks a lot better. But then you see the people, like in the 1974 photo, they're all lean. They've all got their shirts off. All of them got their shirts off. The ladies they're in bikinis and stuff, swimwear. Yeah, and they all look lean. They all look like lean as. Then they see the photo in 2024, and half of them
overweight.
Yeah, they look obese.
Yeah,
something's going
when
wrong.
I went to school, there was one girl that was overweight, just one. Everybody else was lean and athletic and running around. There was this one girl that was quite chubby, and so that was not the norm to be fat. It was the norm to be lean and active. But if you go to a school now, how many school children do you see that are overweight?
Yep.
Obesity is increased in youth.
They're saying it's 20% now. It's 1 in 5.
There you go. There you go. And mental health is another thing. I would like to quote some statistics for that as well. I'm only using fairly simple ones because, it just gives you an overall picture. So 1 in 8 people have a diagnosable mental health disorder. So that out of 8 billion people on this planet, 1 billion of them have a diagnosable mental health disorder. But they're the people we know about. They're the people who've been diagnosed.
Yes.
So if you look at an iceberg, that is the tip of the iceberg, and underneath that, we probably have...
We're the Titanic.
Enough. You will have people who are not... you will have people who've not been diagnosed because of the stigma. They won't go and get diagnosed because of the stigma.
There's no bullying in our society, Kristine. That doesn't
come
happen.
Come on, Scott. You're kidding me, right?
I'm being facetious.
Yes, I know you are. And there are also people who are not diagnosed because they are in denial that they even have a mental health disorder. And then you've got people who can't afford it or can't access the services because they're in a remote region or whatever. So there's a lot of people out there who have a mental health disorder of varying degrees. They're not all crazy, you know what I mean, but they're struggling in some way. And so 1 in 8 now could probably be at least 50% of the population or more. So if you think about that, that's really bad. And the pressures on people today have increased because prices have gone up, and people are struggling to make ends meet. They're working longer hours. They're working 2 jobs, or you know what I mean. And the pressures in life, everything's changing at an astronomical rate with technology, and people are struggling, I guess, to come to terms with changes, and there are older people who can't handle the technology, they just technophobes. My mum was one of those. But
my dad was
people are struggling, and so that puts you in a state of mental distress. And so it doesn't mean to say you're crazy. It just means that there are things weighing you down that you're not able to process. And so people can get help for all these things. It doesn't mean you're weird or sick, or it just means there's an issue that somebody can help you sort through.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly right. Yeah, mental health is they've monetarized it. That's the problem. Well, it's the same with the whole healthcare system. It's all been monetarized, and the
Well, the
problem is,
healthcare system doesn't work properly either. I actually know somebody he was my client in my previous business, and he committed suicide, and but he tried to commit suicide in the first place. He'd slashed his wrists, and he went into the hospital system, and when he came out, nobody followed him up. So then he went and hung himself. So there is a problem with the system. It's not working, and you can't just give people a drug and say this will fix you, because that's a band-aid.
correct.
The problem is usually much more deep-seated. You got to treat the root cause, and I don't think this health system, the mental health system, is set up to do individual people and spend quality time with individual people. And this is where I see the rise of coaches, because the people that are well versed in NLP, and they can help people with mental health conditions.
Yes.
I'm not talking about people that have schizophrenia or something. That's a little different, but I'm talking about your average person who just has feelings of, I'm not happy, I just don't feel like I'm living the life I should be living. I hate my job. I love my wife, but we're arguing, or we're just talking about everyday kind of problems that a lot of people suffer from, and you can get help for that stuff. It doesn't have to remain a problem, because the longer you leave it, the worse it gets, and the more down you get. And then that's actually starting to affect the hormones in your body, and then that starts to affect how your brain works. And so then it becomes a major problem and leads to more severe conditions. So your physical and mental wellness are tied very much together. Because if you're mentally stressed, you can end up with ulcers in your stomach, right? Or you can end up with a heart attack or a stroke, because you've just got yourself so worked up. So, and similarly, if you're not well in your physical well-being, that's going to affect your mental well-being, isn't it? So,
I say to patients, if you're constantly, chronically stressed, well, what does stress do? It contracts all the muscles, and especially around the neck and back.
Yep.
Well, I'm sorry to say, there's a few organs pretty close to that area.
That's right.
And
exactly.
they're called lungs, heart, and pericardium, and they're constantly contracted as well, because that's what happens. You're not only contracting the back and neck, you're also contracting those muscles in the front as well.
It's affecting the blood flow. It's affecting blood flow to your heart and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
oxygen
and to your brain
as well.
Well, that's right.
Exactly. Yeah. And brain's very important. Well, it takes up 1/3 of our blood supply, which is pretty important. And
slightly important.
Slightly.
When you consider that your conscious mind is probably only about 10% of your brain, and the other 90% is doing all the work that you don't have to pay any attention to, right? And if your brain doesn't get the oxygen and glucose to feed it, then it's not going to operate all your body systems very well. It's not going to regulate your breathing or your heart rate or all that kind of stuff, and the release of hormones and things like that. And you're not going to think very clearly either, are you? So you really need to look at your body as a whole. And we're not just talking about your physical well-being, your mental well-being. We're also talking about your social well-being. We're talking about your spiritual well-being. And spiritual well-being is an area that's largely neglected by a lot of people. They just ignore that bit. They don't spend much time on that at all. And you really need to. You need to take this time out to be in touch with you, who you are, to appreciate the place you live in and the bigness of it all and your place in this whole universe. It's very settling, grounding, humbling, and it's really it's actually good for your energy to be in touch with nature. It brings you back so that you're not so stressed out, that it has a positive energy, not a negative energy. So you need to balance your life with outdoor stuff. And these days, because of technology, we're spending so much time on the computer and indoors, we're not getting enough vitamin D. And then people are taking supplements that can actually damage your kidneys when you can walk out the door into the sun and you can get it for free in small amounts. In small amounts, it's good for you.
The sun is so important. It does. Now I know what I know. It's very important. And I mean, we were told not to look at the sun when we were young. It's all a lot of rubbish. Actually, the sun actually creates more mitochondrial production than each cell, and it's usually the red light that comes from the sun, which unfortunately only happens like the first 5-10 minutes of each morning, and late in the evenings. So it's very important. It also helps to produce serotonin. Serotonin does what? It helps us to produce melatonin in the evenings. And what happens then? We sleep better.
That's correct.
Correct.
But
So
serotonin and oxytocin are byproducts of exercise, and that actually are the feel-good hormones. But that also helps to balance you out. But sunlight is also important because it's not just the vitamin D. When you're indoors, you've got artificial light, and artificial light has a different wavelength, and it affects your eyes and brain differently. But so you need daylight, you need proper sunlight, real light, and photons. Your body wants that. It's important to have those sorts of things, natural light, because you were naturally meant to have natural light, not artificial light.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So
and these like they call it blue light, don't they? These screens, all the screens emit this light that actually makes you alert. So when people are on the computer till say 10 o'clock or something, and they want to go to sleep, they can't sleep because their brain's active, because the screens have emitted this light. Whereas if you go and have a nice hot shower, a warm bath, and then go to bed or read a book, they're the sorts of things that are going to put you to sleep and help you rest, because sleep's critical. You've got to have sleep.
Yes, that's right. You are. Unfortunately, we have to do it 1/3 of their day, and it's very important. All right, you've done really well, Kristine. So we'll go into the last.
We've gone around a lot of different topics, haven't we, Scott?
That's good, because I like that ad lib and talking about subjects that we're both passionate about. That's great. It gives the audience some gold nuggets. So I'll just go into the last two questions. So tell us, Kristine, who's your ideal client? Who do you want to help the most?
That was a very hard decision to make, because everybody needs wellness. But I have decided that my ideal audience is leaders, entrepreneurs, business people, and their teams. Because when I had my business in Sydney, largely the people who came to see me all got their problems from their workplace. And that's because they spend 7 or 8 hours a day at work, 5 days a week, and they develop really bad habits. And those things develop into chronic problems. So that's who my clients are. And if I look after the leaders, the entrepreneurs and their teams, and I equip them with all the knowledge, skills and strategies they need, then they can run their business efficiently. And if people are not well, what happens? You get sick leave, you get presenteeism, absenteeism. You get people who are grumpy. That's not a good workplace.
Morale.
And it's going to
Morale.
cost you a lot of money. And yes,
Good
morale.
low morale.
Yeah. So I have programs that include how to improve relationships, how to make better decisions about your wellness, the food that you eat, how you sit, how you've set up your workstation. I've done occupational health and safety, so I can help people set up their workstations. I help them with their physical wellness, their mental wellness, and their relationships at work, which will also flow into their home. But when those people go home, they pass it on to their family. And what happens is they bring those good habits back to work. And it builds a much better environment that is more conducive to quality work and preventing burnout, preventing stress, and that then it doesn't cost you in sick leave and that sort of stuff. So that's my ideal client.
So stitch in time, basically. Saves life.
A stitch in time. Yeah, that's right. That's a very, very good old saying.
Yeah. Well, that's what you're basically preventing them from losing money through bad morale and illness, basically.
And the good thing is that if an organisation or a leader or some leader of a team spends money on their workers or on themselves, then if they feel better, it's going to actually flow onto their customers. That they'll be happier when they're dealing with their customers. People will see them shining and they're healthy, they're happy, and that flows on through every part of your business and into your own family. So it builds respect of your workers that you've spent money on them, and loyalty. So, there's a lot of factors in investing in the health of your workers and in your own health and well-being.
Definitely. All right, so I'll go on to the last question. You've sort of already answered this one. So give us some ideas or information about how to create lifelong longevity.
Life longevity. Stay active, drink plenty of water, and eat healthy foods, making wise choices. They're the three sort of major things, just briefly. But yes, I did drop a few gems along the way.
Yes, you did.
So
I was listening.
Cool. Yeah, so hydration, plenty of water. Forget about the soft drinks and all those sort of things. Water is the single best thing. And healthy food and physical activity. And it doesn't have to be exercise, because a lot of people don't want to exercise. You could go dancing, or you could go walking, or you can row a boat, or, you could do anything, even gardening. Now, gardening is quite a physical activity. So it's whatever you enjoy doing, but you need to be off the lounge, away from the TV. And that's the other thing, cut down on all your screen time and get some free vitamin D. There you go. They're my tips for longevity. The other thing is, one other really important thing is to, if you want a happy life, Albert Einstein said, tie it to a goal, which means you've got something to get out of bed and look forward to.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is what we started with. So that will get you out of bed and happy and invested in life.
So I've got you. So this is your LinkedIn connection. Is that right?
Yes, LinkedIn connection.
So if you want to get in contact with Kristine through LinkedIn, that's it there. And on also you've got this, you book a 1-to-1 Zoom meeting and join the book club, Circle of Connection, Trauma and Wellness, and there it is. There's your link tree.
Yes, I'm writing a book, a mental health, a book about mental health. Yep.
Oh, wow. I don't know how many books I got to write about mental health. I was going to say,
people can join the book club if they want.
Excellent. That's awesome. So if you want to
get in contact with Chris, there's my link tree as well.
And there's your link tree as well. So thank you very much, Kristine, for coming on. And because you came on and you didn't bag me too much, we appreciate your time. So there it is there. We give you the free access. You get access to my health club for 30 days for free. Costs $11. You get that for nothing. And if anyone that joined in and talked to us today, unfortunately they didn't, but they will get access to that health club as well. So that's it there.
Thank you very much for having me on your show, Scott. I've enjoyed sharing.
Yeah, we much appreciate having you on, and I've learned a lot today. So thank you so much for giving me that little bits of information. Appreciate it.
No worries.
All right, guys, you have a great day, and you've been watching the Get Busy Living podcast with Kristine Best. You take